Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first installation episode, whatever, of the movie reviews. Probably call them movies with Juvy. Who knows? The first one we're doing is Devil's Rejects, the sequel to Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses, and it definitely doesn't disappoint. It's not one of the type of horror films that it's gonna make you jump out of your seat and it'll scare you, but it's definitely one that kind of strikes on a lot of human tones and a lot of, what would you do if you were in that situation. It takes place obviously after House of a Thousand Corpses, but some time has passed now, and the little brother of the sheriff from House of a Thousand Corpses, George Wydell, his little brother is actually the sheriff and deputy in charge of this task force, pretty much, to capture the family, the Devil's Rejects as they're called, and bring them to justice, whatever have you. And his cheesy lines do not disappoint throughout the movie. The first thing we get from him is, "Let that soak in your gray matter. Soak it in a bit. Or, when I find your family, I'm gonna leave them dead like a dog in the street." I don't know. I loved it. It made me chuckle a little bit throughout the whole movie. One of the first scenes we see, actually the first scene of the movie, is a bunch of the cops are rolling up to the family's house and they're all sleeping and chilling and everything, and they get into a huge shootout with the cops, and we see that they fashioned all this crazy kind of bulletproof armor, and they obviously have their guns. They've kind of come prepared, but they end up having to run the fuck out because obviously cops a bit more prepared if they're really trying to take someone down. The family has to run. They escape out of a tunnel in the basement, and you see all these crazy, almost like a people under the stairs type situation. You just see all people trapped in all these cages kind of thing, and they're all reaching for them, trying to get help or trying to get out, whatever have you. But in this basement is actually when the cops come through and do their sweep, is where they actually connect Spaulding to the family and realize that this guy they always see on TV that runs the weird little attraction store and everything is this crazy fucking necrophiliac serial killer type guy. But one of the first experiences we kind of get with the whole "what would you do" situation comes when Otis and Baby arrange to meet Captain Spaulding at a motel room, and they're in this motel room with this family, just kind of an innocent family. They're part of a band. They're just kind of trying to take a little pit stop, and Otis starts kind of sexually touching the wife in front of the husband and everything, with his gun. And it's definitely an awkward one. And if you're not really comfortable with forced sexual scenes, you're probably not going to be too comfortable during this scene. It is one of the more tame ones that we've seen in the film industry, though. So it doesn't really last too long, but it's definitely one of those first ones where you get uncomfortable in your seat and you start kind of thinking well, what if this was my wife or my girlfriend? Excuse me. What would I do? I've met a lot of people who said they weren't comfortable actually watching the movie because of that scene. I don't know. Like I said, it's definitely one of the more tame ones we've seen in the film industry. But let's continue. During this motel scene, after the sexual romp, the boys and there's the dad, the daughter, the wife, and the daughter's husband. So Otis, the brother of the Devil's Rejects, obviously, he brings the dad and brother to kind of this little desert road, and it's another experience where you're kind of wondering what would I do in this situation. So they're walking down this desert road, and he's kind of telling them, the stress of the day is really getting to me. Maybe I'll just go grab your wife. And he starts taunting him again like this. And it's one of those things where you're thinking I know this guy has a gun, but there's two of us, one of him. Maybe if we overpower him, whatever. There's certain things that go through your mind even in that scene. Well, it turns out Otis tells him this is going to be the end of the road. We're digging up guns, and I'm going to kill you. There is nothing else. Obviously, one of the guys, they have to try and be heroes. They try and fight fight Otis. The red-haired dude, the son-in-law, hits him over the back of the head with like a log and everything, and it just fucking turns left for him real quick. Because Otis then goes into one of the best monologues and crazy like speeches I've ever heard in a movie. It's one of my favorite, I guess. The way he's just he's talking to the son-in-law, and he's being just so very cold and emotionless, but at the same time very like aggressive, but not, you know, like angry. It's really intense to watch, and just listen to what he's saying. And when he goes over to Roy, the dad, he has one of my favorite lines of the movie, and that's when he says, when he makes Roy pray and everything, you know, pray to your God out loud, and he says, "I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work." And then after that, he turns Roy's face to ravioli guts. But that line is one of my favorite ones of the whole movie. I love it. But he then obviously finishes off Roy, and we kind of see him finishing off the red hair guy. I can't remember his name, but we're not really too sure right at that point what's happening. Or maybe I didn't catch it. If I didn't, let me know. But we go over to Baby with the mom and the daughter in the hotel room. And it's kind of the same situation, but you see the difference between Otis and Baby. Baby's kind of making them do like more immature things, and she's being more of a child with things, you know. One of them has to go to the washroom, so she's saying, well, you have to slap her in the face or say thank you, baby. It's kind of more, you see the different mentalities in them. The way Otis taunts the guys and the way Baby taunts the girls. It's more of a immature and kind of like childish way of playing with them. It's almost like playing truth or dare and daring someone to like slap them or whatever. But you see those throughout the movie as well. But yeah, so Baby's in the hotel room with the mom and daughter, and it's kind of the same situation. She's taunting them, but you do see the difference in the taunts of like the mentality between her and Otis. But they try and be tough, and it goes fucking left for them real quick. The mom, this is kind of where you figure out that Baby doesn't have any bullets in her gun, because the mom actually does get a hold of it, but fucking Baby ninja stars a buck knife to the top of her chest, and that's it. The daughter comes out, and Baby sees her come out and run past her and struggle with the motel room door as the mom's bleeding out. She's dying, obviously. But she kind of lets her just like run off and like bang on the doors of the motel, running and screaming. And maybe that's just me, but I kind of feel that reflects the mentality wise as well, because I don't think Otis would have let her run off like that, and kind of thought it was funny that she ran off. Either way, she runs out of the motel room and runs into Captain Spaulding. So it's a bad fucking time, obviously. The following scenes, I'm going to try and summarize it. We're not going to run through the whole time. But the following scenes, it's Otis meeting back up with Baby and Spaulding at the motel room. You figure out that he cut the red hair guy's face off. He's figuring out to put it on the girl, the daughter that they have left. And that's pretty much where we get left off with them. We get back into a retrospect where the sheriff actually finds the daughter that's left, because she was left in the motel room for the maid to find with the face on her, and she ends up freaking out, getting, like, she runs out of the room, gets smoked by a fucking truck. In the classic horror movie scene where the girl's standing on the road in the wide open where people would have seen, but she still gets smoked by the transport. So, I don't know. Fucking shitty drivers. But in these scenes, the sheriff recruits his bounty hunters. Danny Trejo, I don't know, I'm sorry. Great fucking film. Actor, badass, whatever. And Diamond Dallas Page from WCW. That's all I could say about that one. DDP. Bam. Yoga for wrestlers. But we figure out that they are now part of the sheriff's plan to find the rejects, which they actually do, because they figured, through the paperwork they found at the family's home, they found out that the Devil's Rejects have been using a series of Groucho Marx characters. Groucho Marx was an old film star. They've been using a bunch of his characters as aliases. They bring in a movie critic to help them kind of figure that out, and then these bounty hunters end up figuring out kind of how to track them down, because I think it kind of goes from one actor and his alias from that name. His partner called himself the Captain, so Captain Spaulding. They put two and two together. It happens, I guess. But so the bounty hunters figured it out, obviously for the sheriff, and they're going to get the rejects. Now, the Devil's Rejects themselves are at Captain Spaulding's, I guess, good friend, childhood friend, brother, whatever. He is a huge pimp named Charlie, and I don't mean huge because he's big in stature, I just mean he runs a big operation. Something I found funny in this, early in the movie when you first see Charlie and his establishment, the one girl, the one prostitute makes a Star Wars kind of reference and says, you know, well, guys are into that now, so why don't we do that? And I just thought it was funny because Star Wars came out last night. The Force Awakens came out last night, so it's just kind of good timing. And when you see them again, when Spaulding and Otis and Baby show up to Charlie's, that same prostitute that makes the Star Wars comment has the Princess Leia buns in her hair. So I thought that was pretty funny. And before I forget, another scene we actually kind of see Baby and Otis beat the sibling differences and like how much you kind of see they are siblings. There's two scenes in the movie. One is when they're in the van and she mentions getting ice cream. They start copycatting each other and imitating each other, and siblings do that shit all the time. The first time we actually see their sibling rivalry at work is in the motel room when they just have a quick squabble, you know, fuck you, no, fuck you. I just thought it was kind of interesting that Rob Zombie did make sure to have that kind of sibling rivalry connection in there. Really cool. But, so, the bounty hunters and the sheriff end up finding the rejects at Charlie's. Why? Because Charlie sold them out. Charlie snitched on them. Captain Spaulding's all coked up and drunk, having a good time. Otis is getting it in with truck stop hooker Leia. Baby's having a bath. Diamond Dallas Page, fucking Diamond Dallas, throws Otis through the window and beats him. They end up capturing the rejects. There's not much of a fight put up. They are then taken to a house, the rejects, actually the family house that they originally lived in and all that. And they are then tortured. And Wydell, the sheriff and deputy, whatever, he kind of is a Christian or a Catholic, who knows, but he's God crazy. He feels that this is God's like will for him. He has a vision at just before like all this kind of takes place, that, you know, his brother is telling him he's stuck in this house. It has to end, or else he can't move on. And he just goes crazy, and he kind of crucifies Otis and Spaulding to a chair. What I like to call a chaircifixion. That's right, they got chaircified. I came up with it. Trademark. Bing! But, so, he ends up going and showing them that he has killed Mama. I'm sorry if I skipped over that. I'm sure you've all seen this movie, though. If you haven't, spoiler alert, obviously. But he shows them that he's killed Mama, and he shows the pictures of the victims and his brother, and he lets Baby go after stapling these pictures to them and everything. He lets Baby go, and you actually see the predator become the prey, because now you actually see that Baby is scared and she's got to run from Wydell. Before he goes to get her, he then sets fire to the house. In this whole scene now, we have Otis and Spaulding burning in the house, and we have Charlie has come back to try and rescue Baby after selling them out. It doesn't go well for him because she gets to a kind of safe spot at a car, and he gets an axe in the chest by Wydell. But something cool we do see. Tiny, if you're don't remember, Tiny's the really, really tall lurch guy. He got burned all over him. You see him very quick in the beginning. Actually, that's the very first scene of the movie, is when Tiny is dragging some dead naked girl through the forest. You don't see them through. You don't see him through the entire movie until he comes to rescue the family. He actually breaks Wydell's neck, gets Spaulding and Otis out of the house, and sends them on their way in a car, and walks back into the house that's on fire to kind of end it all. And I thought that was a very cool and very poetic scene, because he has all these burns all over him, and he kind of feels, you know, this is where it all began, so this is where it's going to end for him. Now here's the issue, my issue with the movie. We go into a montage of family clips, or like family photos and everything, of Otis and Baby and everybody, and a kind of slow-mo shootout and driving scene to the entire fucking song of Lynyrd Skynyrd's Freebird. I love this movie, it's a great movie, but the whole song of Freebird, come on now. I don't know, it's a cool ending either way, like the whole slow motion, getting shot in the car, but the whole song of Freebird was a bit much, Mr. Zombie. Either way, it's a great movie, Devil's Rejects. Check out the first one too, House of a Thousand Corpses, because that's really great too. That's more of the cringe-worthy, a lot of like more, I don't know, not gory, but kind of grotesque or twisted type stuff that'll definitely get you on the edge of your seat. This one will definitely make you question a lot of things about yourself and what you would do in certain situations and kind of what you would tolerate in certain situations. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys haven't checked this movie out, I'm sorry if I spoiled it all, but trust me, I left some things out and I didn't do it justice. We're gonna probably do more of these. Hopefully, if the feedback is good, let me know on my Twitter and Instagram at JuvyThaKid, JuvyThaKid. I'm sorry this is a bit rough. It's like 1 in the morning and I wanted to get this done for y'all. So, bam. Quiet kids, freaks, weirdos, keep being weird. I love y'all. Peace out.